National College football analyst Barrett Sallee. Barrett, good afternoon, man. You're in the game here in T-Town.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. Good to see you this weekend.
Oh, my heavens, what a game. What a game. What do you think?
It was more bizarre than the Tua game or the national title game because, like, we all knew last year Jalen couldn't pass. Like, so, you know, even in New Orleans at the Sugar Bowl, their offense didn't look good, and we had heard murmurings of Tua coming into the game then, and you know, in the national title game, it was needed and it worked, and it was surprising, it was dramatic, it was awesome, and it was slightly unexpected. It was definitely unexpected. This was even more unexpected because when Tua went out, it was just like, okay, like, look, we've talked about this. Jalen is a much better passer this year than he was last year. We've talked about that all year long. Jalen in the fourth quarter coming into a game like that against that defense, the way they were playing, no way in hell he does that. Had absolutely no faith that he would do that. And for him to do it on the same field he got benched in such a dramatic way, with him scoring the touchdown on the ground, I mean, if you submitted that script, they'd have been like, no, I mean, that's fantasy. That's not reality. That's way too ridiculous. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was in every possible way. It was unbelievable.
It's kind of hard to even put it in words, but as you kind of said, it's a storybook, it's a Hollywood script, and it's you know, I mean, there's more to it too, and hopefully someday Jalen Hurts will share the rest of the story because there's a lot of inspiration that you could take, and we've been talking about this. And I think one day this week we're going to spend time when we're not covering the Heisman and all that. There's so many lessons for just everyday life when you watch these two interact. It almost wishes that, you know, maybe some society would take some notes. And there's just so many lessons from watching these two support one another. That you know what I mean? I mean, there's life lessons from, you know, from dad jumping in and wanting to rescue his son, but then going through adversity. I mean, there's just so many lessons that you can learn from that, 15 minutes of football.
Yeah, I mean, dating back to last year, too. And look, you know, I think some people are begrudging other players for transferring. You know, Jalen could have transferred. He could have looked out for himself, and that would have been fine. But for him to stay, I mean, obviously he took a risk, a big risk, and I think it has paid off for him. And in terms of how, you know, those two operate, I think, you know, whether Jalen stayed or left, their friendship was what it was, and they kept that bond despite fighting, you know, each other for the starting spot. And then when Jalen lost, instead of, you know, going somewhere else, he decided to be as supportive as possible and do all he could to better himself for the future, wherever that is, and better the team. And you can do both at the same time. And I think that has in part to do with the fact that he has another year of eligibility left. If he didn't, then I don't know if he'd have stayed. But yeah, I mean, they treat each other with respect. They lift each other up. And that was in the midst of what is a fight between two guys who are very talented and can be and have been very successful. You know, it is inspirational for sure. And you know, it means, I think, now that you know, whatever happens in the future, Jalen's a legend. I mean, Jalen is an absolute legend in Tuscaloosa. No matter what happens, no matter where he goes, even if they don't win the national championship this year, for him to lead them to 2 national championship games, get benched in the second, and then win an SEC championship, I mean, that's you know, put a statue up of him. No matter where he plays next year, put a statue up.
We're talking to Barrett Sallee, CBSSports.com, National College Football Analyst, ESPNU on Sirius XM, Channel 84. And Barrett, let me go into the conversation with Tua. 10 of 25, 2 interceptions, 164, 1 touchdown. How much do you think his performance was on the injury that happened on the first drive?
I think some of it was. I don't think all of it was. I think that Tua had a very bad day that definitely got, you know, compounded by the injury. But I think he panicked. When you look at some of the throws he made, it was like they were going for home run balls all the time or not checking down because he didn't want to bother with the short game. He was trying to make the play too much. And was that in part to his injury? I don't know if that's partly because of his injury. I don't think it was, because he still has the decision to make, and I don't think he made very good decisions. So it definitely played a part, maybe because he, wasn't as comfortable running around, and so he tried to, maybe overcompensate a little bit. But it was just a bad day. And Georgia, you give them a ton of credit. They did a great job defensively. Preparing for Tua. And I think a little bit, like last year, they were caught by surprise by Jalen Hurts, which is a complete reversal of what happened last year, but could have been the same problem. So, he just had a bad day. I firmly believe, had he, not gotten injured, I don't think Alabama wins that game. I think if Tua had played the entire game, injury or not, they would not have won because Georgia's defense was doing a great job.
Barrett, is Kirby Smart a big-time coach?
Yes, he's a big-time coach. He's a big-time coach who is still learning how to be a big-time coach in clutch situations. Last year, I think he may have gone into a shell a little bit against Alabama, but it wasn't that big of a shell. I mean, they were still going after it in the fourth quarter, and it just so happens that Alabama was better. This year, to me, it sort of seemed like he knew his defense was getting gassed a little bit and they weren't prepared. So he just tried too hard to make something happen. The fake punt should have never happened. To me, it was almost like he was searching for his Nick Saban onside kick moment or his Chris Peterson Statue of Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl moment. That's what it felt like to me. And that, I think, is in part to potentially prove that he is a big-time head coach. But he doesn't really have to he shouldn't have to do that. He doesn't have to feel that kind of pressure. He is a big-time coach. He led his team to a playoff and a national title game, and then on the brink of another playoff berth against the best team in the country and perhaps one of the best teams of all time. He is a big-time coach. I just think that he hasn't figured out that last piece of the puzzle, and that is, I'm sure, disappointing for Georgia fans right now. It's not permanent. I mean, Bob Stoops was big game Bob as a joke, and then he won a national title. It happens. It takes a little while. Kirby Smart's in his third year ever as a head coach. You can't label him like that right now. You can label him, I think, as still learning on the job a little bit, and that last piece of puzzle is figuring out, when to swing for the fences, and he hasn't figured that out yet.
We're talking to Barrett Sallee, National College Football Analyst, ESPNU on Sirius XM Channel 84, and National College Football Analyst, CBSSports.com. In your opinion, does he win the Heisman Trophy? Is this Heisman Trophy? Did he win it? Did he lose it? Is it close? What do you think?
Oh, I definitely think it's going to be close. This is definitely the most intriguing, Heisman Trophy ceremony we've had in a very long time. Does he win it? I still think that he will. Would I gamble on it at all? No. Because Kyler, we said this before, praising Tua isn't sliding Kyler, and praising Kyler isn't sliding Tua. Both of those guys have had historically good seasons. Like, quite literally, two of the best seasons by quarterbacks in college football history. Both of them have. So, I think people are going to recognize that and recognize how important Kyler was to his team, because there's no way they're in the playoff without him. Tua, maybe a little bit of a different story, but he also revolutionized Alabama's entire offense. So if I had to bet right now, I still think Tua wins it, but I would never bet on that. I think it's going to be ultra close, and votes are due here in about 10 minutes. I already submitted my ballot. I can't tell you who I picked because they don't like that, but I would imagine it's very close.
Well, and I think this is you watch it, this is the debate. This is the debate. When we have to fill out 3 different spots on our ballot.
Yeah.
How many people will vote for their guy and push that second guy down to 3 instead of 2 to get those votes? You know what I mean? People will do that to make sure their guy wins it, or at least they think they can.
Yeah, people will do that. I don't do that.
No, neither do I.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people absolutely do that to try to swing the ballot a little bit. I I hope that doesn't happen, but I do know people that have done that in the past. Yeah, but I mean, look, it's again, if he loses it to one of the best quarterbacks of all time, in Kyler Murray, in terms of the season he produced. If Tua wins it, if Tua wins it, he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time too. It's hard, man. Like it's really hard. I wonder how much Jalen's performance does hurt Tua, because I think if anything, it's not the bad game that hurts Tua. It's the fact that Jalen Hurts did what he did, which I think in some voters' eyes, and probably in a lot of voters' eyes, diminishes Tua's value to Alabama in terms of what he means to the team, because we've talked about this before. Jalen can lead them to a national title this year. He can do that. He's progressed under Dan Enos. Kyler, if he goes down, their backup can't do that. So I think from a value perspective, Jalen's performance actually might have hurt Tua in the Heisman race.
Barrett Sallee, National College Football Analyst, CBSSports.com. You can find out all of his work as he covers college football. We have not had a chance to dive into it a lot deeper, but a lot of great work there and a lot of things happening. I wish we had more time, Barrett, but I do appreciate you for being a part of the conversation.
All right, thanks, Ryan.